Welcome to Religion Unpacked. The Council of Nicaea, how the Bible was chose. In the year 325 AD, the Roman Empire was in chaos, not from invading armies, but from an idea. For 3 centuries, Christians had been persecuted, hunted, and killed for their faith. Now, the unthinkable had happened. The Roman emperor himself, Constantine, had converted. Persecution was over. But a new danger had emerged, a religious civil war that threatened to rip the empire apart. What was at stake was not just the future of a new religion, but the very nature of God. Constantine summoned every Christian bishop in the world to a small lakeside city called Nicaea in modern-day Turkey. This was the First Council of Nicaea. It is the most controversial meeting in history. Conspiracy theories claim this is the moment when powerful men, backed by the state, decided which books would be in the Bible and which would be burned. They claim Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code was right, that Constantine rewrote history. Today, we are going to walk through the doors of that ancient council. We will expose the truth about Constantine's involvement, face the heretics, and unpack the shocking reality of how the Bible was really chosen. First, we must meet the man who made it happen. Emperor Constantine. He wasn't a theologian. He was a general. He had just united the empire, and he needed a unified religion to hold it together. Christianity was supposed to be that religion, but it was being torn apart by a fierce theological argument. An elder from Alexandria named Arius had a new theory. He argued that Jesus, the Son of God, was not eternal like God the Father. Arius said, there was a time when the Son was not. He believed Jesus was a separate, lesser creation of the Father. To Constantine, this was a disaster. His empire needed unity, and he was getting a religious debate. He didn't care who was right, he just wanted them to agree. So he invited over 300 bishops, covering all of their travel costs, and presided over the opening session. For the first time in history, the church and the state had merged. This brings us to the biggest conspiracy theory of all, Dan Brown and the Da Vinci Code. The myth states that before Nicaea, there were over 80 Gospels, and Constantine picked the 4 he liked, the ones that made Jesus divine, and burned the rest. This is fundamentally false. The real purpose of the Council of Nicaea was to define the nature of Jesus, not to choose the books of the Bible. The list of books that would become the New Testament was already largely decided by the bishops on the ground, long before Constantine. How do we know? We have letters and lists written by early church fathers, like Irenaeus in the 2nd century, who lists the 4 Gospels as we know them today. They used criteria. Was the book written by an apostle? Was it consistent? And was it being used by churches everywhere? Nicaea didn't create the Bible. It simply affirmed the books that were already universally accepted. If the council didn't create the Bible, what did it do? It tackled the Arian heresy head-on. The debate was fierce. According to one famous legend, Santa Claus himself was there. Yes, Saint Nicholas, the Bishop of Myra. The legend says Nicholas became so angry with Arius's teachings that he actually stood up, walked across the room, and punched him in the face. It's a bizarre image, but it shows how high the tensions were. This wasn't an academic discussion. It was a battle for the soul of Christianity. The council needed to create a single statement of faith that every bishop had to sign. This became the Nicene Creed. They needed a very specific word to define the relationship between the Father and the Son. They chose the Greek word homoousios. It means of the same substance, or of the same essence. This was a direct defeat for Arius. Jesus was not similar to God. He was God. Co-eternal, co-equal, and co-substantial with the Father. Constantine, the general, saw that the majority of bishops agreed, and he backed it. When it came time to sign, almost every bishop in the world did. Only 2 refused. Arius and those 2 bishops were immediately exiled. Constantine did not burn gospels at Nicaea, but he did use his power. After the council, he declared Arius and his teachings to be illegal. He ordered that all of Arius's books be confiscated and burned. This is the scary part of the legacy. The state was now deciding what counted as true religious belief, and it was willing to use violence to enforce it. For the first time, a person could be considered a criminal simply for disagreeing with a bishop. So, what are we to make of the legacy of Nicaea? It wasn't a conspiracy to invent the divinity of Jesus. It wasn't a meeting to pick the books of the Bible. What Nicaea was the birth of the organized church. It was the moment when the scattered, persecuted underground church became a powerful, centralized institution. It gave us the Nicene Creed, which is still recited by billions of Christians today. But it also gave us the heretic, the exile, and the book burning. Nicaea did not make Jesus divine. It made Christianity official. It created a standard of belief that has been defended for 1,700 years. The Council of Nicaea is the shadow that still hangs over the relationship between power, politics, and faith. It is the moment the Church decided that unity was more important than diversity. And that is the Council of Nicaea, Unpacked. Thank you for watching Religion Unpacked. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a new upload.